Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where we take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either October 17th or 18th, 2023, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Now, usually we start off these videos by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, but I didn't have a pick 2 weeks ago, so skip that. I am happy to say that this week, similarly to last week, I actually do have a pick this week, so I'm happy about that. And we'll talk more about that pick later on in the video. First, right now, let's focus on some honorable mentions that are coming out this week. Books that I just basically want you to have on your radar. We're going to start off with 3 books that are books that were already in my poll well in advance to this week's books coming out. Those 3 books that were already on my poll that I'm absolutely buying this week are, first, Star Wars, issue number 39 from Marvel Comics. I've enjoyed this Star Wars series since issue number 1. The whole Lobot, Lando Calrissian story that's happening right now is a little bit not happening for me, but it's good enough that I'm still enjoying it. I'm absolutely going to keep reading it. So since I'm buying it, it's an honorable mention for all of you. I'm also picking up this week The Sandman Universe Nightmare Country, The Glass House, issue number 5 from DC Black Label. Those of you who watch my videos know that I'm a big James Tynion IV fan. This is a James Tynion IV book, one that I would not have expected to like as much as I do, but I really do like it a lot. And I give James Tynion IV all the credit that he deserves in making that happen. So yes, I'm absolutely going to be picking this up and reading it this upcoming week. And the last book that's on my polls for this week is Catwoman, issue number 58 from DC. I'm not a usual puller of Catwoman, but this is the second Catwoman issue that is part of the Gotham War tie-ins that are happening between the Batman title, the Catwoman title, and some other books as well. It's turned out to be a pretty interesting story. It's kind of like, you know, Batman's greatest adversary is Batman in a lot of ways, and they're kind of leaning into that a little bit. It's been an interesting story. I'm enjoying it a lot. I highly recommend it, but you're not going to pick up Catwoman issue number 58 if you're not a regular reader of Catwoman, and if you're not, currently reading the Gotham War storyline. The next honorable mention I want to tell you about this week is a new book. It is called Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, issue number 1 of a 7-issue limited series from DC. I don't think I need to say anything about this book. Everything you need to know about it is in this title. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, issue number 1 of a 7-issue limited series, $4.99. If any of that gets you excited, here's a book for you to check out this week. The next book I want to tell you about is another new book. It is Jay Garrick, The Flash, issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series from DC. If you're a fan of Jay Garrick Flash, this is something for you to check out this week. This also features his long-lost daughter, which is an interesting occurrence as far as I'm concerned. So if you're interested in stories featuring the original Flash, Jay Garrick, and his long-lost daughter, then here you go. The next book I want to tell you about is a new book. It is called Bite-Sized Tales of Terror, issue number 1 from Scout Comics. Here's just a little sentence from the description. Bite-sized collection of 3 deeply disturbing horror stories in this new one-shot. Tells you everything you need to know right there. It's a one-shot. It has 3 deeply disturbing horror stories. It is a $7.99 book, so I assume it's probably a bit oversized. So that is probably a good thing in this instance, since there are 3 stories in there, so hopefully you get a little bit more wiggle room to tell a fully fleshed out story. And considering it's the spooky month of October, that this might be something for you to consider picking up if you want to pick up something unfamiliar and spooky. The next book I want to tell you about is a new book. It is called Beautiful Soldiers, issue number 1 from Scout Comics. The description's short, I'll read it very quickly. The Beautiful Soldiers are the descendants of an alien race capable of great power over their own element: earth, air, fire, and water. Terra, Cassie, Kasumi, and Powwow learn that they must find the legendary fifth element before other elementals who wish to use its power to destroy the earth. All right, could be an interesting story, but what's probably most appealing to a lot of comic book readers and collectors is the fact that it appears to be a group of very well-drawn, hot women who, with superpowers, who can kick butt. That is appealing to a lot of people, I'd say including myself as well. I don't tend to buy comic books for those reasons, but there are a lot of people out there who do. And there's no judgment here from me if you are one of those people. So it sounds like it could be a cool story. Sounds like it could be a cool new team of characters. Sounds like it could have some decent eye candy if that appeals to you. So I absolutely wanted to make sure that it was on your radar. The next book I want to tell you about is another new book. It is Spine-Tingling Spider-Man, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Basically, this is just a spooky Spider-Man story. They've done them before, they'll do them again. This is just another one. Spider-Man's a great character, and actually, there have been some cool Spider-Man spooky stories. So this could potentially be very, very entertaining. So if you know somebody who likes comic books, who likes Spider-Man, and who might like a spooky story this spooky season, maybe consider picking up Spine-Tingling Spider-Man out this week. The next book I want to let you know about is another new book. It is Sensational She-Hulk, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Basically, everything you know about the Sensational She-Hulk is going to be in this title. Probably more fourth wall breaking, stuff, you know, that She-Hulk has been doing not only in comic books, but in the television series for decades and decades and decades. She-Hulk is a fun character, and I think a lot of people didn't like the She-Hulk series because, frankly, I think sometimes people, I don't know, they don't like fun. They want things to be like badass, you know, they want fights and action. They don't want just kind of silliness and fun. And I think there's plenty of room for that in television and comics, in all media. So I'm all about it in She-Hulk as well. So if you like She-Hulk, if you like the vibe of She-Hulk and what she's been consistently offering for decades, here's your chance to jump on a new She-Hulk series from issue number 1 with this new Sensational She-Hulk. The last honorable mention that I have for you this week is another new book. It is Crypt of Shadows, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. The description's short, let me read it really quickly. Opening the Crypt. Once more, as All Hallows Eve draws nigh, the dust-covered slab that seals shut the crypt, blocking out the sun and casting it forever in shadow, has creaked open to let the darkness loose to prey on the Marvel Universe. Be they mercenary or mage, guided by law or by rage, our heroes will face their terror, and they best pray their spines are sturdy enough for the job, or the crypt they find may well be their own. Okay, similar to the Spider-Man title that I mentioned just a minute ago, this is basically just more Marvel stories with a spooky twist to them. This isn't the first time they've done it, won't be the last time they do it. Can be a lot of fun, can be really entertaining, especially during this time of the year. If Marvel characters and spookiness appeal to you, you might consider checking this out this week. And that brings us to the last book that I'm going to talk about today. And this book is my Just One Book pick of the week. And that book is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 1 from IDW. Here's the description. Don't murder the locals. This is small town serial killer, upstanding citizen, and adorable brown bear Samantha Strong's cardinal rule. After all, there's plenty of perfectly ripe potential victims in the big city just beyond the forest. And when you've worked as hard as Sam to build a cozy life and a thriving business in a community surrounded by friendly fellow animal folk, warm decor, and the aroma of cedar trees and freshly baked apple pie, the last thing you want to do is disturb the peace. So you can imagine her indignation when one of Woodbrook's own meets a grisly, mysterious demise, and you wouldn't blame her for doing anything it takes to hunt down her rival before the town self-destructs and Sheriff Patterson starts literally barking up the wrong tree. Live, laugh, shed blood. Dexter meets Richard Scarry's busy town in writer-artist Patrick Horvath's twisted debut of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This was one at first that I was like, that sounds neat. Okay, I'm going to make it an honorable mention. But then the more I started thinking about it, I was like, this is doing something that I find very appealing. And that is, it's making me smile while I'm reading the description of a character who is a serial killer. Like, I think it sounds fun and cute, but the main character is a serial killer. And sometimes I wonder, sometimes authors in comic books specifically tell stories with anthropomorphized animals, animals that walk and talk like human beings, seemingly for no good reason. I'm like, why are these characters animals? I don't know. There's no justification for it. But in this instance, there actually is what I consider to be a solid storytelling justification for it. You put this cute little cuddly little bear in an environment of woodland creatures that are all living in community together, happy as clams. You create this kind of cute, idealized environment for a serial killer to have to work outside of in order to not taint. But then when something happens within the serial killer circle that begins to taint that environment, the serial killer is compelled to do something to stop that. This is I don't know if I'm doing a great job explaining, but this is very, very interesting to me. It sounds like it could be a really cool story, just the plot, the premise in and of itself. But then when you put it in the context that you've put it in, I think it amps up the stakes. It raises the stakes for the characters, for the environment, for the story top to bottom. And that I find very, very interesting. This book is also only $3.99, so it's definitely worth a shot as far as I'm concerned. So there's enough there to appeal to me and to make me interested and to compel me to buy a book that I was not planning on spending money on this week. For me, these days, that is really saying something. So for all of those reasons, that is why Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is my just one book pick for this week. Okay, that's it. That's it for this video. As always, likes are appreciated by me, so please hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would invite you to do so now. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.